Hello brothers, and welcome to Sigma Old Man Channel. The scariest people are the ones who never have to raise their voice to be heard. There's something unsettling about a man who moves through life like a ghost, silent, unreadable, and completely unaffected by the noise around him. Studies show that people naturally fear what they can't predict, and Sigma males, they are the human embodiment of unpredictability. They don't follow the usual social scripts, they don't need validation, and worst of all, they don't even realize how much they disturb people just by existing. It's not that they try to be intimidating, it's just that their way of operating in the world defies every rule people are used to. They can vanish without a trace, cut people off like a bad habit, and expose others' insecurities without even trying. It's like they're programmed to unnerve without effort. And while an alpha might dominate a room by making noise, a sigma dominates it by making people question themselves. So buckle up, because we're about to dive into 10 frightening things sigma males do without even realizing it. Just a warning, after this you might start looking at them a little differently. Number 1, they can read someone's entire personality in seconds. A sigma male doesn't need weeks, months, or years to figure someone out. Within moments of meeting a person, he already has a detailed mental blueprint of who they are. It's not magic and it's not guesswork. It's pure observation, pattern recognition, and an almost eerie level of awareness. While most people engage in surface-level interactions, a sigma male absorbs every micro-expression, tone shift, and body language cue like a supercomputer processing data. He notices contradictions in what people say versus what their eyes reveal. He picks up on the subtle hesitation in a handshake, the forced enthusiasm in a laugh, or the barely perceptible irritation when someone doesn't get their way. What makes this ability so frightening is that he does it without even trying. It's second nature. Others may take months to realize someone is fake, insecure, manipulative, or hiding something, but to a sigma male, it's obvious from the start. This isn't just about spotting flaws. He also recognizes authenticity, strength, and hidden potential in people before they even recognize it in themselves. He can sense when someone is truly confident versus when they're overcompensating. He can tell when kindness is genuine versus when it's being used as a tool for control. Because of this, conversations with a sigma male can feel unsettling to those who have something to hide. It's not that he directly calls people out, he rarely even bothers, but his energy alone makes people feel exposed. They sense, on some deep level, that their usual masks aren't working on him. He isn't impressed by superficial charm, social status, or fake confidence. He sees straight through it. And the unspoken realization that they can't fool him makes people uncomfortable. This also means sigma males rarely get blindsided by betrayal or deception. They already saw the signs long before anything happened, which is why they remain unbothered when people reveal their true colors. If someone thinks they successfully fooled a sigma male, chances are he just didn't care enough to correct them. The scariest part, most people don't even realize they've been read like an open book until much later, if they ever figure it out at all. And by then the sigma has already moved on, leaving them wondering how he knew all along. Number 2, they stay unbothered in situations that would break others. A sigma male's ability to stay unbothered in situations that would send most people spiraling is nothing short of unsettling. The world thrives on reactions. People push buttons, test boundaries, and stir chaos just to see what kind of response they can extract. But when they throw their best shot at a sigma and get nothing but a calm, unreadable expression in return, it messes with their heads. It's not just that he doesn't react, it's the fact that he genuinely doesn't care. Most people crumble under pressure, lash out when provoked, or desperately try to prove a point when their character is questioned. A sigma male, however, moves through life as if he's seen it all before. Insults slide off him like water off a rock. Betrayals don't shake him because he never expected loyalty from weak people in the first place. Even life's biggest setbacks don't send him into panic mode. He adapts, recalculates, and keeps going. This level of emotional control is unsettling to those who rely on drama to feel important. They expect anger, frustration, or at least a hint of insecurity, but instead they're met with nothing but indifference. What makes it even scarier is that this isn't an act, it's who he is. He's not suppressing emotions to appear strong. He simply doesn't allow external chaos to dictate his inner state. This makes manipulators powerless against him. The usual tactics, guilt-tripping, gaslighting, provoking, fall flat because he refuses to engage. It's infuriating to those who thrive on control, and it often drives them to desperation, trying harder and harder to get a reaction that will never come. And then there's the silence. When most people get defensive, explain themselves, or fight to prove their worth, a Sigma male just goes quiet. That silence, it speaks louder than any argument. It makes people second-guess themselves, wonder what he's thinking, and feel the weight of their own insecurities. In a world where most people are ruled by emotions, a Sigma's refusal to be emotionally manipulated is a power few can understand and many find terrifying. Number 3, they make people feel exposed without trying. A Sigma male doesn't have to say a word to make people feel exposed. He doesn't interrogate, judge, or intentionally make anyone uncomfortable, yet somehow, just by being in the room, he forces people to confront truths they'd rather ignore. It's not because he's trying to prove anything, it's because his very existence is a mirror reflecting what others lack. Most people rely on external validation to feel secure. They need approval, attention, or a sense of belonging to feel whole. But a Sigma male? He's entirely self-sufficient. He doesn't seek approval, doesn't care for empty praise, and isn't trying to impress anyone. This unsettles people because it makes them question why they're so dependent on things he so effortlessly lives without. His presence alone can make even the most outwardly confident person suddenly hyper-aware of their own insecurities. And then there's his confidence, calm, quiet, and completely unshaken by trends, opinions, or social expectations. He doesn't have to posture, brag, or demand respect. He carries an energy that naturally commands it. Meanwhile, those who rely on status symbols, loud personalities, or forced dominance suddenly feel exposed. They realize that their confidence is conditional. It only exists as long as others validate it. But a Sigma's confidence, it's untouchable, and that realization is unsettling. People also hate the way he sees through their masks. He doesn't play social games, which means he never engages in the usual performance of fake enthusiasm, exaggerated politeness, or meaningless small talk. He observes, listens, and picks up on the things others overlook. The cracks in someone's carefully curated image are obvious to him, and even though he rarely calls them out, people feel it. They sense that he sees them in a way they're not used to being seen. It's why people either admire him or feel deeply uncomfortable around him, because standing next to someone who has nothing to prove forces them to question why they do. And that's what makes him truly unsettling. He doesn't try to expose anyone. He doesn't push, confront, or analyze out loud. He simply exists as a walking contradiction to everything people think they need to be, and that alone is enough to shake them to their core. Number 4, they treat compliments and insults the same way. A Sigma male's reaction to both compliments and insults is the ultimate psychological chess move. He treats them with equal indifference. In a world where people are conditioned to light up at praise and shrink at criticism, his refusal to engage in either throws people off completely. It's not that he's ungrateful or arrogant, it's that he simply doesn't attach his self-worth to external opinions. Whether someone tells him he's brilliant or useless, his response remains the same, calm, unreadable, and detached. This is unsettling because most people rely on emotional feedback to gauge their own power. They expect to see a flicker of pride when they flatter someone, or a hint of irritation when they throw an insult. But with a Sigma, there's nothing. No ego boost from praise, no wounded pride from criticism, just the same steady, unmoved demeanor. It frustrates people because it removes their ability to control his emotions. They can't manipulate him with flattery, and they can't shake him with negativity. He exists outside the typical reward-punishment cycle that governs most social interactions. It's especially unnerving to those who thrive on dominance and validation. They don't know how to handle someone who isn't playing the game. If a narcissist tries to butter him up, he remains unimpressed. If someone attempts to tear him down, he doesn't flinch. It creates a power imbalance where the other person is left scrambling for a response that will actually get a reaction out of him, something that rarely happens. What makes this even more intimidating is that his indifference isn't forced. It's genuine. He doesn't need external validation to feel confident, and he doesn't fear criticism because he already knows who he is. His sense of self is built on something deeper than public opinion. This makes him emotionally untouchable, and that level of control is terrifying to those who depend on approval and reaction to feel significant. At some point, people realize they're wasting their time trying to affect him. and that's what truly scares them. Not just that he won't react, but that their words never had power over him to begin with. Number 5, they walk away from opportunities others would kill for. A Sigma male's ability to walk away from opportunities that others would sell their souls for is one of the most unsettling things about him. The world revolves around the chase, chasing status, chasing wealth, chasing validation. People sacrifice time, dignity, and even their own values to climb the social and professional ladder, believing that once they reach the top, they'll finally feel fulfilled. But then there's the Sigma, effortlessly turning down things others crave, and it shakes people to their core. It's not that he's lazy or lacks ambition. In fact, he's often more skilled, more capable, and more intelligent than the people desperately fighting for these so-called dream opportunities. But the difference is, he doesn't measure success the same way. A fancy title? Meaningless. Social prestige? A distraction. Money? Useful, but not worth selling his soul for. If an opportunity doesn't align with his personal values, his freedom, or his long-term vision, he'll leave it behind without a second thought. This terrifies people because it forces them to question their own choices. If someone can reject what they've been conditioned to want, maybe that means they've been chasing the wrong things all along. It creates a quiet, unsettling doubt in the minds of those who have spent their lives blindly following society's script. The Sigma doesn't reject these things out of rebellion. He rejects them because he sees through the illusion. He knows that status is just a game of perception, that wealth without purpose is empty, and that attention from the masses is often more of a trap than a reward. The most unnerving part? His indifference. He doesn't turn things down with arrogance or drama. He simply shrugs and moves on, as if these so-called once-in-a-lifetime opportunities are nothing but trivial distractions. It makes people desperate to understand what actually does motivate him. If power, fame, and approval don't excite him, then what does? That mystery is both fascinating and deeply unsettling because it makes people realize he's operating on an entirely different level, one they may never reach. Number 6, they speak the brutal truth without softening it. A Sigma male doesn't waste time dressing up the truth to make it more digestible. While most people wrap their words in layers of politeness, hesitation, or strategic phrasing, he delivers the truth straight, no filter. Not because he wants to be rude or hurtful, but because he sees no point in diluting reality. He values clarity over comfort, and that alone is enough to shake people. Most people are used to softened truths, feedback that is carefully constructed to spare their feelings, opinions that are worded to avoid backlash, and honesty that comes with just enough sugarcoating to make it go down easy. They've grown so accustomed to this dance that when a Sigma speaks, it's like a sudden jarring slap of reality. He says exactly what he means with no extra fluff, no unnecessary embellishment, and no regard for how people wish the truth would sound. This kind of directness is unsettling because it leaves no room for self-deception. He doesn't give people the easy way out. If someone is making excuses, he calls it out. If a situation is toxic, he says it outright. If something is a bad idea, he doesn't pretend otherwise just to be agreeable. This level of honesty forces people to confront things they might not be ready to face, and for many, that's terrifying. The irony is that deep down, people respect him for it, even if they're initially caught off guard. They may be shocked or even offended in the moment, but later, when they realize he was right, they can't ignore the value of his words. His brutal truth often sticks with people long after the conversation ends because it was never designed to manipulate, impress, or sugarcoat. It was designed to reveal. And that's what makes his words so powerful. He doesn't just tell people what they want to hear. He tells them what they need to hear, whether they're ready for it or not. Number 7, they can end any argument in one sentence. A Sigma male doesn't argue for the sake of arguing. He doesn't engage in pointless back and forths, emotional outbursts, or ego-driven debates. But when he does choose to respond, he does so with terrifying precision. One sentence, cold, undeniable, and surgically accurate, is all it takes to dismantle the other person's entire argument. No theatrics, no raised voices, just a single, brutally logical statement that leaves the other person scrambling for a response they'll never find. What makes this so unsettling is that most people enter arguments expecting a tug of war. They assume there will be room for deflection, emotional appeals, or clever comebacks. But with a Sigma, there's none of that. He doesn't argue to win social points. He argues to end the conversation as efficiently as possible. If someone is being illogical, he exposes it in seconds. If they're contradicting themselves, he calls it out without hesitation. If they're relying on emotions instead of facts, he doesn't entertain it. The worst part for the other person, there's no way to recover. A Sigma statement isn't just a response, it's a conclusion. It leaves no room for counter-arguments, no gaps for further debate. The other person is left standing there, staring, either realizing their mistake or desperately trying to come up with something, anything that won't make them look completely defeated. This ability isn't just intelligence. It's a combination of razor-sharp logic, psychological awareness, and an almost eerie level of detachment. He isn't emotionally invested in proving someone wrong. He simply states the truth in its rawest form, and that's enough to shut everything down. People walk away from arguments with a Sigma male not just feeling like they lost, but realizing they were never even in control of the conversation to begin with. And that realization lingers, making them think twice before ever trying to challenge him again. Number 8, they create an unpredictable energy that keeps people on edge. People like predictability. They want to know who's in charge, who's following, and how to navigate social dynamics. But a Sigma male throws all of that out the window. He doesn't conform to dominance hierarchies like an alpha, nor does he seek validation like a beta. He moves on his own terms, making choices that don't follow any conventional pattern. And that unpredictability, it makes people uneasy because they can't categorize him. With an alpha, the energy is obvious, commanding, aggressive, attention-grabbing. You either challenge him or submit to him. With a beta, the dynamic is clear, agreeable, accommodating, easy to read. But a Sigma, he keeps people on edge because they never know which direction he'll go. One moment he's completely indifferent, the next he's making a power move no one saw coming. He's neither loud nor passive, neither demanding nor overly accommodating. He simply is, moving through life with a self-possession that makes people feel unsteady. What makes this even more unnerving is that he doesn't try to create this effect. It's just how he operates. His choices are based on his own logic, not social expectations. He might walk away from a challenge that an alpha would charge into, not out of fear, but because it's not worth his time. Or he might step up in a situation where everyone assumed he'd remain silent, delivering a brutally decisive action that shifts the entire energy of the room. There's no pattern to follow, no playbook to anticipate. And when people can't predict someone, they don't know how to respond to them. This unpredictability isn't about playing mind games, it's about independence. A Sigma male doesn't give people the social cues they're used to, so they're left guessing. Is he a threat? Is he an ally? Is he even paying attention? That uncertainty makes people uneasy because they realize they have zero control over how he interacts with them. They can't provoke him into reacting, can't charm him into compliance, can't manipulate him into playing by their rules. He operates on his own frequency, and that alone is enough to leave people constantly second-guessing. Number 9, they dominate conversations without trying. Most people try to dominate conversations by talking the loudest, interrupting or forcing their opinions onto others. A Sigma male does the opposite. He barely speaks, yet somehow when he does, the entire room shifts. He doesn't waste words, he doesn't ramble, he doesn't speak just to fill silence. But when he does open his mouth, his words land with an impact that forces people to listen. It's not about volume, it's about presence. His energy demands attention, not through arrogance, but through sheer authenticity. He doesn't engage in pointless small talk or try to impress anyone. He waits, observes, and when he finally speaks, what he says is so precise, so direct, that it naturally takes over the conversation. People instinctively pause, not just because they want to hear what he has to say, but because his words carry an authority that makes everything else seem like noise. The unsettling part. He doesn't even realize he's doing it. He's not actively trying to control the discussion or assert dominance. He's simply speaking the way he always does. Clear, concise, and cutting straight to the point. While others rely on social cues, flattery, or exaggerated gestures to hold attention, a Sigma male does it effortlessly. His quiet confidence creates an unspoken hierarchy in the conversation, where people naturally start deferring to him without even noticing, and that's what throws people off. They're used to individuals fighting for attention, trying to prove themselves, or desperately seeking validation. But a Sigma male doesn't need to do any of that. He speaks when necessary, and when he does, the weight of his words does all the work. It's not just what he says, it's the way he says it. Measured, intentional, completely indifferent to whether people agree or not. And that kind of quiet dominance, it's more powerful than any loud, attention-seeking performance. Number 10, they stay calm in situations that would make others panic. When chaos erupts, most people react instinctively, rushing, panicking, making rash decisions fueled by adrenaline and fear. But a Sigma male, he doesn't flinch. While everyone else is spiraling, he's calm, calculating, and in complete control of himself. It's not because he's fearless, it's because he refuses to let fear dictate his actions. His brain shifts into problem-solving mode, scanning for solutions while others are still processing what's happening. And that's exactly what makes people uneasy. Most rely on shared emotions in a crisis. They look to others to validate their fear, to reassure themselves that their panic is normal. But when a Sigma male doesn't join in, it unsettles them. His stillness feels almost unnatural, like he's operating on a completely different wavelength. Instead of matching the chaos around him, he moves with precise, deliberate actions, never rushing, never second-guessing. It makes people wonder, does he even feel fear? The truth is he does, but he views fear as data, not a force that controls him. While others react emotionally, he reacts strategically. His focus isn't on what's happening to him, but how to handle it. Whether it's a physical emergency, a high-pressure situation, or a sudden disaster, his mind filters out everything unnecessary and zones in on what actually matters. He doesn't get caught up in the hysteria of the moment, he just does what needs to be done. People don't know how to process this kind of control. They're used to seeing visible stress, hearing panicked voices, feeling the collective tension. But a Sigma male disrupts that pattern. He's the one person standing in a burning building who looks like he's casually deciding what to do next. The one in a heated argument who doesn't raise his voice but dismantles the other person with a single calm sentence. The one who, even in the most chaotic situations, seems untouchable. And that's what unnerves people. When everything is falling apart, they expect to see fear, uncertainty, something that shows he's affected. But when they don't, it makes them question if he even experiences emotions the way they do. And that lingering doubt, the possibility that he's built differently, sticks with them long after the crisis is over. Number 11, they can cut people off like they never existed. A Sigma male doesn't do half measures when it comes to cutting someone off. There's no drama, no drawn-out explanations, no warning signs, just silence. One day, someone exists in his world, and the next, they don't. He doesn't block people out of spite or to get a reaction. He simply removes them with a level of emotional detachment that most people can't comprehend. That's what makes it so terrifying. Most people struggle with goodbyes. They second-guess, they linger, they leave doors cracked open just in case. Even when they cut ties, they secretly hope for closure, a last word, or a final attempt at reconciliation. But a Sigma male, he doesn't need any of that. Once he decides someone no longer adds value to his life, they're gone. Completely, permanently, and without hesitation. It's not an emotional decision, it's a logical one. What unsettles people the most is the sheer efficiency of it. There's no anger-fueled exit, no long-winded speech, no breadcrumbs leading back to him. He simply withdraws, erasing all traces of his presence like he was never there in the first place. It's as if he flips a switch in his mind, shutting off any attachment he once had. The person on the receiving end is left confused, maybe even in denial, thinking he'll come back eventually, except he won't. This kind of detachment is rare, which is why it unnerves people. Most have never experienced someone who can remove them so effortlessly, without bitterness or regret. It forces them to realize they were never as important to him as they thought. They might reach out, try to provoke a response, even beg for an explanation, but nothing works. A Sigma male never revisits a door he's closed. The finality of it is what lingers in people's minds. They don't just lose him, they lose access to him forever. And nothing is scarier than realizing you've become a ghost in someone's life while they continue forward like you never existed at all. The scariest opponent is the one who doesn't play by the rules. That's the Sigma male in a nutshell. Moving through life on his own terms, completely unfazed by the expectations, emotions, and manipulations that control most people. He doesn't seek approval, doesn't react the way people want him to, and doesn't explain himself. That's what makes him so unnerving. He can vanish from someone's life without a trace, dismantle an argument with a single sentence, or make people question their entire existence just by being himself. He dominates conversations without raising his voice, walks away from what others would kill for, and stays terrifyingly calm in moments of chaos. And the best part? He's not even trying. At the core of it all is one simple truth. A Sigma male is free. Free from the need to impress, to conform, to seek validation. And nothing is more frightening to those who rely on control than a man they cannot influence. If this breakdown shook you, intrigued you, or made you rethink everything you know about Sigma males, then don't just sit there. Hit that subscribe button. Join the tribe that sees beyond the surface. Like the video if it hit home, drop a comment with your thoughts and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Stay sharp, stay unpredictable, and I'll see you in the next one.